Hello, boys and girls. We're here with a very special guest. And this guy reigns all the way from Calistoga, born in
Beacon Falls, Connecticut.
Beacon Falls,
Native
Connecticut.
New Englander.
And he's one of my clients, one of my good friends. And I'm so happy to have him sit down for Trainers Talks. The mayor of Calistoga, the CEO of
Illumination Technologies.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Canning.
Welcome to Casa de Canning.
Awesome.
I'd like to say the mayor's mansion, but it's not the mayor's mansion. We don't have one of those in Calistoga.
No, it's a very humble, nice little abode.
There we go. We'll leave it at that.
Exactly. So, how long have we known each other?
So we actually, 13 years, I think you've been training me.
Yeah.
I joke often, Donavan is the longest relationship I've ever had.
I know.
Outside of my parents, yeah.
Exactly. And Jackie's okay with that.
There we go.
And do you remember how we met?
We met, first we had met in an establishment. It was either the library or church.
Yes.
In downtown Calistoga, when you came to work for Solage, prior to Solage even being finished being built.
Yeah.
And we were in a local establishment, again, the library or church, called Susie's, I think, Susie's Church or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
We'd met because you were in with some of your new colleagues that you were getting to know, and
yeah.
We were introduced, and onward and upward from there. And then I started as a member of Solage when they first opened, and finally convinced myself I needed some assistance.
Yeah. No, it was, you are client number 3.
Are 1 and 2 still around?
No.
Oh, well, there we go.
So he holds...
I had nothing to do with their disappearance.
He holds the belt for longest client that I've been training, and
with no pauses ever.
No little vacations. You know, there's a couple moments I was like, I don't know, but no, you've been keeping it going. We've been training at least once to twice a week for 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, no, well, it's really cool to kind of see the progression of how you've kind of moved through these last 13 years, because you've had a lot of changes in your life.
Significantly, absolutely.
And these last 13 years is probably, I mean, I don't know what the other decades were like, but besides probably the first 0 to 10, I feel like this last decade or so has probably been the biggest changes in your life.
On a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, relationship, work.
Yeah. So it's
crazy people.
We'll kind of let's kind of let's get into that a little bit. First of all, why did you come to Calistoga, and why did you decide to stay in Calistoga?
So I was originally transferred here for work. I used to work for Nestle Waters, shameless plug, two of their products. And I was working for them overseas. I was actually living in Paris,
mm-hmm.
and they owned Calistoga Mineral Water Company, based here on the Silverado Trail, and they brought me here for a temporary 3-year assignment.
Yeah.
To kind of revamp the brand, and unfortunately it was kind of beyond salvage at that point. So at the end of that 3 years, I was 2 weeks away from being moved back to the East Coast to take on a new project, and I was literally walking my dog at the time.
Uh-huh.
Maddie, rest in peace.
Maddie. Miss Maddie.
And literally looked around and called my boss 2 weeks before the moving truck was going to arrive, and I said, I can't do it. So long story short, I retired and had to go find a job real quick. But yeah, this was a 3-year assignment 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I count myself very lucky to have found Calistoga.
What was it about, you had that moment when you were walking Maddie, but what was those pinpoints that were like, this is the place to kind of be?
It's outside of the town I grew up in. It's the first place, and I moved 7 times at that point.
Yeah.
It's the first place that felt like home again.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very fortunate in my life. I've lived in some amazing places. I've lived in other places in the world. I've traveled throughout the world. Very, very fortunate. Count myself lucky. But that kind of gave me a benchmark of what a good lifestyle is, and a good location, and good people. And for me, all of that is here.
Yeah.
And that made my decision very easy. It was the first time in my career that I was with Nestle for 16 years.
Yeah.
First time in my career that I made a lifestyle decision versus a career decision.
Yeah.
And that's what chose me to stay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think in several ways, I think mine kind of blended the two, because I never thought of myself staying in California this far away from my family, who's also on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And it's 50% of it is a lifestyle decision too, of weather, food, people, of kind of being out here.
Yeah.
And it's when we first started to train, you were, how much were you weighing above what you're weighing now? Right now you're very slim and trim.
You're never supposed to ask my age or weight, right?
Yeah. Well, this is when we're on
so,
Trainers Talk, so you don't have a problem talking about that.
True confessions.
Yes.
So I'm my driver's license says I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
I'm actually 5'7". Don't tell the DMV. I, at that point, was pushing 168. Actually, and there was one point where I broke 170.
Yeah.
On 5'7".
Yeah.
And it wasn't all muscle.
And then I think, I would say within reason, we had a couple of spurts, but for the most part, you've kind of kept that weight off.
Most of it, I'm at my lowest ever right now,
Yeah.
consistently for the entire COVID period.
Yeah.
That we're in. But I usually bounce between 155 and 160 is what I did for the longest period of time, and sure, we had my peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Along the way, but in that range. But I'm in the $150 range now.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, that is. That's a good range.
While still eating and drinking everything I want.
and that is a kind of a key point, because I do think
almost everything.
Yeah, but I think there's a misconception sometimes. I'll have people come up to me and say, "I want to train with you, but I want to start working out first before I feel like I can train with you." Like they'll put that on me, like they have to be at a certain level, and not understanding that is the purpose for you working with me, is that I'm going to get you to those steps even at the base level.
Yeah.
And do you remember, so in that initial portion when we were first at Solage, that first month or so that we're training, and we're trying to get that initial 10 pounds or so off of you, I remember us setting goals
that you held me accountable to.
Yes. And do you remember one of the punishments that...
I will never forget this, and I think you almost got in trouble for this.
Maybe. Did I almost get in trouble for it?
The management of Solage at the time found it, odd or interesting that you made a member do this.
Yes. Yes. So I'll let you tell your version.
So we had goals that had to be met. The goals were for my own good. And if I missed a goal, usually with a time period associated, then there was a punishment. It's running up a hill, carrying something heavy. This particular goal was to push around the parking lot of Solage, the loop, Donavan in his car without the engine running, just in neutral. Yes, I remember that very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think, we laugh about it now, and I just knew that like that first month or so was just very key to kind of, if we can get you to a point, because you were a very regimented guy.
And one of the important parts of why I've continued with the training, other than the fact that you're a great trainer, you're a good person, is the accountability element.
Yeah.
It's far too easy for me or anyone to, I'm going to skip today, I'll go tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, I'll go the next day.
Yeah.
When you have a point in time defined on the calendar and somebody you're responsible to for being there, I've always used it, even if I fell off the wagon and skipped 4, 5, 6 days in a row, I knew day 7's coming, and that's Donavan day.
Yeah.
And I need to pull my act together.
Yeah.
So for me, that was as important as the actual exercises we're doing and the workouts you give me in between, is the accountability factor.
Yeah.
And that has played a consistent role I think we've had Wednesdays on the calendar for all of that period. We've added and subtracted here and there, but I know when if I'm in my bad zone, I know that day is coming.
Exactly. I think you've just even how you said that. I mean, like you've kind of built routines, and what is your kind of typical morning routine when you kind of get up? What's kind of like your workout routine? What's kind of like when you're on your own and you're not necessarily training with me? What does your typical day, mornings, evenings, mixed, how does that work?
So ideally the goal is to work out in the morning. If I don't get it out of the way in the morning, as the day progresses, there's too many excuses, obstacles, circumstances that pop up that prevent me from doing that. So ideally, alarm clock first time goes off around 5:30, feet on the floor, hopefully by 6:15. And then to the gym, or currently in my garage, because again, where this is COVID, whenever you're going to watch this video, this is when this is happening. And get it out of the way. And the workouts are the ones that you have programmed and designed for me in between the time you and I meet. I'm a big fan of running. Well, I don't like running, but I do it, and have since I was in middle school. So that's my cardio or cardio equipment at the gym. But yeah, I try to do a minimum of 4 mornings a week, exclude outside of the 1 to 2 that I'm committed to you on.
Yeah. And do you have, before you work out, do you eat anything? Do you have coffee? Or after you work out, is that when do you eat anything, breakfast? How's that work?
Nope. First thing, as soon as I get up, I just big glass of water, chug that down. Get dressed, go. The coffee, I can't eat anything before. Just too much moving around. The coffee, I don't allow myself. I love coffee. And for me, coffee is the reward when the workout's over.
Gotcha.
So when now that I'm working out of the garage for now, the first thing I do when I'm done and I come in the house is I push the button on the coffee maker. So that's the reward. And for me, the workouts in between, I mean, you've known me long enough, I get very easily bored and distracted.
Totally.
So the fact that you are constantly refreshing my workouts and changing what they are, and always surprising me with new things that I'm like, well, what's that going to do? And then I feel it the next day. That I've appreciated, because I can continue to, do curls forever, but I'm going to lose focus and attention on that.
How do you, so you're a CEO, you're a mayor, you're an individual that, likes to, socialize and be around people. How do you balance the duties of, because you're in a lot of leadership positions, and what gets your thought into being a leader, and then what allows you to balance that all?
I mean, I was raised in a family that the attitude was, if you have skills or you've benefited from things that you've learned or experiences in your life that others could benefit from or you can contribute to, then you were expected to do so. So whether it was professionally or giving back, and my entire family has been in public service. So that was kind of instilled there. And then I'm also someone that I'm not allowed to complain. Come from a family where you're not allowed to complain about something unless you're willing to be part of the solution. And that's
so expound on that. So I feel like the way you said that, is that also a pet peeve for when people do that the same to you?
I appreciate feedback from people. But complaining for complaining's sake without either offering a solution or the suggestion of a solution or volunteering to be part of a solution, I have zero tolerance for. And it goes through from everything I do in business all the way through to my public service. I take feedback and complaints and concern. I want input, but if you're just going to constantly be B&Ming, bitching and moaning, without ever offering up an idea or a solution or wanting to volunteer to be part of that, then I don't have a lot of time for you. So taking back to that balance, you're definitely in positions where that stuff happens a decent amount. What gets you out of your head? What's kind of the meditative point for you in your day or in your routine
that allows you to take that in, but don't let it stay on you all day or all night, affecting your sleep and things like that. How do you kind of balance that part of it?
So for me, and not saying it just because you're here,
Yeah.
exercise for me has always been, physical activity for me has always been a stress reliever, a distractor.
Yeah.
And one of the other reasons that I try to get it in the morning is it kind of wakes up the brain and gets me going. And when I am feeling, try to do one workout in the morning. There are days where I'll have done my workout, I'll go through a day that hasn't been awesome.
Yes.
And then I'll go for a run that night, because that helps me manage stress.
Totally.
And when I feel better physically, I manage things better. If that stress level gets too high and I'm not taking care of myself physically or doing that, kind of exerting that through exercise, I find it compounds and makes it worse, and I can feel myself get into that rut sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's how I manage that.
Yeah, totally. It's that is always a tricky balance of, I think speaking of myself and Jackie, I think Jackie has a harder time kind of turning that switch off. For me, it's all based off the workout. It helps me a lot, my own workout, and be able to kind of interact with clients and kind of getting you guys' point of view, because your wisdom and your point of view has helped kind of me rethink of certain things in a certain light that can kind of turn those things into things I can control, and then things that I can't control, I can put it to the side and not worry about it.
I'm a control freak, but I realize that I can't control everything.
Yeah.
Whenever there are human beings involved. And I don't mean control as in control people, but if I could sometimes.
Let's come to workouts. So what style of workouts do you like best?
So cardio always for me I need to have, because it drives out the poison.
Yes.
Keeps the weight down. Helps keep the weight down. I do like obviously strength training.
Yeah.
But back to what I said a little bit earlier, the diversity of the strength training exercises you create for me keeps me interested.
Yeah.
If it was just like do bench press, do curls, and it's kind of the same thing, I totally will lose interest.
Yeah.
So it's for me it's a balance of I want some muscle tone. I mean, we joke it's pool season or beach body season.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking to be the Incredible Hulk. I just want some definition. People could notice. It's over there.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But I want, for me, it's more about being toned with a little bit of definition, but certainly keeping the weight up, because I can easily bounce up.
Yeah. No.
As you've witnessed.
Yeah. And so I've known over 13 years. I've had to train you for special events. Mount Kilimanjaro being one of them that I can think of for sure off the top of my head.
I've done Mount Rainier we trained for.
Yeah.
Mount Kilimanjaro. I've done a bunch of road races. We've done the Ragnar Relay race together. A bunch of things. But yeah, there's specific targets and goals that we go to.
So taking some of those things, and you've also done some marathon.
Correct.
Some other different. You've done beta breakers several times.
7 times, I think.
Yes, which is a fun one.
6 more than I should have. But whatever,
exactly. That's
nobody needs to see that much nakedness running around.
Yeah, it's a little jarring, but taking those things, you've made some of those things into trips. What do you have any highlights of some of those types of travels or events that you've done?
So the Rainier trip, and we got from the mountaineering school for Rainier, they sent you, I think you recall, like 6 months in advance, they give, here are some things you need to be working on, and we incorporated those into our workouts. Rainier was incredible.
Yeah.
It was a work trip. We took, when I was back with Nestle, we took some of our clients on that. Golf trip or a boating trip would have been much better. But now that it's over, it's great. Very technical climb. I mean, there's a reason it's used for, and was never really interested in mountaineering or climbing.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's used in our hemisphere as a training grounds for Everest.
Yes.
While it's not quite as tall, not even close to as tall, it's very technical.
Yeah.
That was an adventure. didn't make it to the top and didn't make it alive to the bottom. So that's a little bit, kind of puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
But that was a great trip when it was all done. The Kilimanjaro trip was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you have far more altitude to deal with. It's not as harsh a climb in terms of it's not as, on Rainier, by the time you get to the end, it's crampons and parkas, and you're tethered to the people you're with, and ice axes and all that. But the altitude, you step, you breathe, you step, you breathe. And by far, the physical conditioning that I was in helped me get to that.
Yeah.
But in that case, though, they'll tell you, you could be a couch potato and make it to the top.
Yeah.
You could be very fit and not make it because altitude sickness is just something you can't train for.
It just is what it is. Yeah, totally.
And then the other races that we've trained for were fun and participated in together were
Ragnar.
the smelly van overnight,
Yes.
too many people, no showers.
Yeah, no, it was
For people who might not know, the Ragnar Relays was the race from San Francisco to Calistoga overnight with 12 runners.
Yes.
On a team.
On a team.
4,000 total runners, I think.
Yeah, it was like 4,000 total runners, and like you said, it was two vans, 6 people in each van, and you do 3 separate runs to make your way from San Francisco all the way up to Calistoga. And I felt that was, Calistoga has done a lot of things recently. I mean, well, since I've been here, like the last 10 years, and since you've been involved with the city as a council member or as a mayor, with fitness and athletics, what is the vision behind that, or is that by accident, or is that by plan?
It's by design, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've been known since the city was founded. We sit obviously at a giant geothermal water source.
Yeah.
Nicknamed the Healing Waters, and health and wellness, because at the spas we have, I've always been a driving purpose. But in order to have that, you have to have access, regardless of what your economic situation or even your physical condition might be, to some form or fashion of wellness.
Yeah.
And we have a current council, myself included, that have had a very strong emphasis on that.
Yeah.
And not just programming for kids, but also for adults, seniors, etc. And we've been very focused on that in the last few years, to the point where we've made, which is unheard of in almost any community, all of our park and recreation programs are free.
Yes.
And we're able to do that because we happen to be a destination town for tourists who come and leave their money behind, and we use that to benefit the quality of life for those of us that live here. But putting in the community pool and making sure that we're utilizing that to its maximum. We're fortunate to have that. We would love to have some more facilities, but whenever we could redo parks or enhance services, participate with private sector companies who provide those type of resources, full stop, it's an absolute priority for me. And even it's as simple as, hey, let's do an in-chair exercise program for seniors or people with some physical challenges. Just movement is good for the brain, good for the body.
I mean,
good for the community.
I've seen the transformation. It's been a game changer, I think, I think the Ragnar was, events like that were really cool to see. They had the mud run and everything. Yep. Seeing people kind of come out and get excited about it. And I think also it's a cool energy to balance what Napa Valley is, which is, food and wine. But to show off the spa and wellness history of Calistoga, and seeing the people walk around in their bibs and their things, and participating and going to CalMart and going to Calistoga Inn and different establishments.
It also brings community together. When you've exercised with someone, you participated in a group class of yours or some event that we're doing in Calistoga, it humanizes you.
Totally.
You're in your workout gear, you're sweating, it's a bonding experience, and I've watched and I've even developed relationships with people that I started a class with, and you may recognize them from town, but until you're all huffing and puffing together, and it's really come together, and certainly your group and what your team has done in making those types of experiences far more accessible, both in number and availability, has come a long way for the community as a whole, and has created an expansion of participation at all levels.
Yeah, I think this is where we're kind of, outside of your own personal fitness, is where we've been most aligned, is that seeing how generationally, education is one portion, but also the physical health of people is another, of really changing generations and the wellness of people mentally and physically. And I think also too, by doing the programs that has happened, I think the coolest thing is seeing that, I will speak to like the aqua aerobics in particular. We've found ways to connect the city and things that we do to keep services happening year round.
Yep.
And so that was one thing, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, where several of the participants, their exercise was maybe the aqua aerobics, and then when the pool would, obviously for seasonally during the winter, would shut down, they would also shut down when it came to
hibernation.
Hibernation for exercise. And it's been cool to see that, we've been able to keep that program, integrated with the city and certain things that we do to keep some of those participants going year round, and just the dramatic changes that has happened to them physically, and the ability for them to not need the level of assistance that would be typical if somebody's above 75 and not working out regularly. And it kind of gives some empowerment there for a community that's pretty prominent here, the community over 65.
Yeah, it's about almost 20% of our population.
Wow.
Which is, we're happy to have them.
Exactly. Oh no, I mean, it's really, I love, it's talking about diversity. I love the diversity of working out with, and doing things for kids who are 5 to people who are 95, 85. So it stimulus for my brain, and kind of figuring out ways to connect with people of all ages and different backgrounds. And
well, also for the benefit of our community, what your team and your organization has been able to do is expand the availability across ages, cultures, and socioeconomic challenges. You've helped our city offer all of that type of programming. If you're not involved in some sort of physical activity or program or class, there isn't a reason not to be, because it's all there.
Yeah.
Some of it costs some money, some of it doesn't. So, but those options are there, and certainly we appreciate what you guys have done, and always the willingness to drive that wellness message within our community.
And one thing I will say is, if you have a complaint about the program and if you're not getting what you need, come to me. Save this guy a little bit. Save him a little bit.
Your complaint will be conveyed to him, that I'll hear on a Wednesday morning as I'm lifting something heavy.
Yeah, I might convey. It might roll back to him. I'll try to go through the proper channels. Maybe talk to Rachel, who's done a great job.
Never a complaint. Some feedback.
Some feedback.
Recommendation.
Exactly. So, we're going to go into. I got kind of 2 more kind of main questions, and then we'll kind of go into a lightning round, and then see if you have any questions for me.
All right.
We kind of talked about what's your vision for Calistoga. What is your, you won't be able to be mayor forever.
I hope not.
Yes. So.
And I know there's a lot of you that think the same, so we're okay.
So what does that transition look like? What's the next step? So what do you kind of see happening in your near future and your later future?
So one of, as I mentioned, I originally got into this because I didn't like the way I saw some things happening in the city.
Yeah.
So I literally first ran for office because I was complaining to my dad, who was a Marine.
Yeah.
I was bitching and moaning on my own, and
the real Mr. Canning.
Exactly, the real Mr. Canning. And he had a few choice words and basically said, "Shut up or get involved." And I did so and ran for office, got elected as city council. Not being a local or a native, I didn't think that was going to happen. And it did. And while I was in there my first 2 years, I thought there were still some opportunities that things could be different.
Yeah.
And then ran for mayor, and I've been ever since, 8 years. And I think we've come a long way. Not everything has certainly been easy.
Yeah.
Not everything has been popular.
Yeah.
But whether you like what we have done, whether you like me or not, you honestly cannot look back over the last 8 years and say that where we are today is not better than where we were.
Yeah.
Whether it be financially, program-wise, availability of services we offer our community, better lifestyle for people.
And this stuff, like I think that's a pinpoint in what politics is, because I mean technically it is politics that people won't see, but there's statistics and there's data. I mean, like, I'll just go based off the things I know for sure within our programs that we do with the city. There's more participation in fitness in the last 2-3 years than it was prior. I mean, like, like the numbers are there.
Yeah.
And I know things that I've seen that have been happening, the improvement and just the development and the revenue that's coming through the city that they can provide these type of services has totally increased.
But one of my mottos or mantras is, yes, we're a tourist destination. We should celebrate that.
Yes.
And I make no bones about it that we market who we are to bring people here to leave their money, capitalize on tourism for the improvement to the quality of life for those of us that live here.
Yeah.
Full stop, very simple. I'm not shy about that at all.
Yeah.
We don't sit in a diamond mine or an oil well. I mean, that's all great. It's what we do. It's what we started with. It's how we were founded. And one of the things, even from the very beginning, when I was started running for office here and being involved, is pride. Be proud of who we are. There were a lot of conversations I was involved in where it was, oh, well, we're just little Calistoga up the valley, or woe is me type of thing. And I say BS to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we are an amazing place, amazing people. Own it, celebrate it, champion it, boast about it.
Totally.
And that's really important. And if you feel good about yourself as a person, as a community, as a family, a community, etc., that rings true. And yes, I do not any stretch of the imagination think that everybody should agree on everything all the time. Never.
Yeah.
But to a point you just made, facts are facts.
Yeah.
Statistics are statistics.
Yeah.
We are in a better place.
Yes.
You don't have to like it
Yeah.
in certain elements.
Yeah.
But we by far are better off today than we were yesterday or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And I will keep doing this. I joke that I will keep doing this until I'm tired of doing it or the community's tired of me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if I have the ability to serve and I think there's benefits and the community thinks there's benefits to me doing so, just like all of my colleagues on the council, then that's what I'll do. Cool. I'm certainly not doing it because I'm got nothing else to do.
Yes.
It has its challenges, and I'm aware of that. I certainly don't do it for the money.
Yeah. Yes.
Accused of that once, and I reminded people that, as council members, we get $200 a month before taxes plus health care. So yeah, we're appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But you put a lot into it, and I've from day one, I've committed to being available.
Yes.
And accessible.
Yep.
And if someone has a problem or a concern in town and they haven't made me aware of it, that's kind of on them, because there are multiple ways to get to me.
Yep.
And I will talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere about anything.
Yeah.
But I can't, or we as a city can't fix something if we don't know it's broken.
Yeah. And I think that's a skill kind of going out to people, is that I've, kind of take a serious note. I've seen some of the happy moments that you get to do as like an auction. What's the auction master? What's the
Hearts and Hands auction, auctioneering for charity events.
So I feel like that's some of the joys of being a mayor and stuff like that. But I think people unappreciate the level of sometimes stuff that you take on that is that is not wrapped around. It's not wrapped around money. It's not wrapped around even a status of being mayor. Is really wrapped around trying to make this area a better place. So
that's to my core that and how I was raised. If you can make the world a better place around you, do no harm, help others.
Yeah.
And similar to, I guess, a hairdresser or a barber, a trainer is sometimes like a therapist.
Yeah.
And we've built a very good relationship, which I've appreciated. And Donavan has been on the receiving end of some of my concerns expressed.
Yeah.
I was going to say complaints, but I don't like complaining. But,
Yeah.
And I've certainly appreciated that grounding and sounding wall and feedback.
Yeah, and the funny thing is,
without disclosing any names.
No, I mean, and that's actually, even within that, like, I think people will make that assumption that I'm getting all these tips and these heads up, and really he's like, okay, this has been in the newspaper, or this has been, so I can say it now, and he'll tell me things that kind of they've already been public, they've all been talked about in the meeting and things like that. So I really don't get the tips. It's almost just like you were saying, that you are available and you're willing to tell people what is out there for them to use to make their situation better, or if they have a suggestion, you're open for that. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. Do you remember when you were about to turn 40, the call you gave me?
Was that the call? Is this about my goal?
Yes.
When I was turning 40?
Yeah. For me, so this is
all right, go.
So this is where I remember it. I think it was, so your birthday is
December 29th.
29th.
Yeah.
So December 29th. And I think in November, and you just, and it's not that often that you call me. I mean, like, I think we text, like, just confirm sometimes sessions or things get switched up. There's a couple of times we'll call on certain things, but it's not, we normally can kind of talk it through when we see each other for our session. And I remember you giving me a call, and you're like, you had a moment of, like, you're turning 40, and you're like, you're going on a trip, right?
Yeah, we went to I rented a house in Costa Rica for myself and 20 of my friends.
Yes.
And I was going to be in a bathing suit.
yeah. You're like, I got to get ready for this. And so, what made that different? What made you like, oh, I got to turn this on and I got to be ready for this? What?
It was, and I had no issue turning 40, but it was one of those, like, kind of gut checks. It was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be 40.
Yeah.
What have I done with my life? What am I going to do with my life? Oh, I let myself slide a bit. And yeah, I do now remember that. I mean, I knew we built a program to get to 40, but it was the phone call that kicked it off. And I gave you permission to continue to hold me accountable and beat the crap out of me.
Yeah. So now I just wanted to bring that up.
No, yeah, very much so.
Okay, one more thing I want to talk about before we get to a couple of lightning questions. I'll go off camera for a second here.
Uh-oh.
A little show and tell. So, this right here is one of Calistoga Fit's t-shirts.
Absolutely.
And it happens to be the first t-shirt when Calistoga started itself in 2014-ish. So, the back of it says, "My sweat covers up my tears."
Where did you get that quote, Donovan?
I don't know. Can you tell me a little bit more about So this is something that Chris said. Can you explain?
We were working out.
My sweat covers up my tears.
Yeah, we were working out, and I was. You were beating me up pretty hard. My own fault. I may, strayed a little bit, and somebody came into the gym and just made a positive comment about my workout, and I said, oh, wow, you're sweating out, you're really working out. I said, oh, don't worry, the sweat is covering up my tears.
Yes.
Because I was crying from the torture being given. And Donovan's like, oh, interesting. For the record, folks at home, I have yet to receive any penny of royalty on that.
Well, he's received free t-shirts.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is his payment free T-shirts.
I do see people around town wearing them, and it makes me laugh. But yeah, my sweat covers up my tears.
Yeah, so it's
you can't tell I'm crying if I'm sweating.
No, it looks. The funny thing, it looks really good on our me and Jackie's kids, because I think the relations, the kids' T-shirts that sold very, very well with this saying on the back. Okay, so let's go into a couple of lightning questions, and then you can ask me any questions. We'll get out. I think we kind of already answered this, but just give me the thing that pops to the top of your head. It doesn't have to be quick, and we move on. Mm-hmm. But what kind of right in the moment comes to your head? Your biggest pet peeve?
Whining. Hands down.
Favorite exercise?
None of them. I don't like any of them. I do them because I have to.
Yeah.
No. So favorite cardio would definitely be running.
Okay.
Outside. And then my favorite exercise, I like the upside down pull-ups.
Yeah. Yeah. You do.
The first few times you made me do them, I was not excited.
Yeah.
But now I do. I like those.
Cool. Least favorite exercise?
That's going to be either a burpee or a Turkish get-up.
Yeah.
Not a Turkish get-up. This is called a...
Yeah, that's right. That's
Turkish
right.
get-up.
That's right.
Yeah, nope,
that's right.
Don't... When I see them, nope, don't like them.
Yeah. Favorite cocktail?
Oh, depends on the time of year.
So give me a couple of seasons.
My summer cocktail, big fan of gin and tonic. Mm-hmm. Winter cocktail, anything bourbon.
Okay.
And then year-round Tito's and soda.
Gotcha.
And I have to comment on that for a second.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Donavan exchanges is Donavan had said to me once, you'd said to me once, there was a particular period I was trying to get from one goal to the next.
Yeah.
And you had said, you would make better progress if you changed your eating and drinking habits.
Yeah.
And my immediate response was, if I changed my eating and drinking habits, Donavan, I wouldn't need you.
and I thought, you're supporting the local business
there
community. So I'm like, keep cheers.
We should have had Tito's and soda there.
Yeah, exactly. I should take a drink of that.
That's a plug for trainers everywhere, by the way.
Exactly, exactly. It is about
and
the balance.
Nobody loves food more than me. Nobody loves enjoying socializing more than me. But it's all about the balance.
It is. It is. You can do it. You can do it. A little bit of all. You got to work hard to get there and get to the point where you can maintain it. But once you get there, balance it out. Have some fun and make sure you have some structure where you're taking care of yourself, in a health way. Favorite quote?
Ooh, that's on the spot right now.
Yeah.
I actually have a list of them. We'll come back to that one.
Yeah. You can paraphrase too if you don't know it exactly.
Yeah.
Favorite local event?
I love Harvest Table. I love the Tractor Parade.
Yeah.
They're amazing events. But for me, to the core of what, when I come upon it and enter it, I just feel really good about our community, is concerts in the park.
Oh,
It's young, it's old, it's Anglo-Latino, it's rich, it's poor, it's everyone, and just spread out in the park. It's a beautiful backdrop to begin with.
Yeah.
And the music's usually good, and even if it's not, who cares? It's just people sharing, food and beverage with each other, or just sharing stories.
Yeah.
It honestly warms my heart every time I see it. And the fact that we may not have a summer with it is pretty disheartening. But but again, love Harvest Table, love Tractor Parade. Most interesting thing, when I first moved to Calistoga, I moved here in the late winter, early spring. My neighbors were talking to me about Tractor Parade.
Yeah.
And they're talking it through, and they're talking about this parade at night with tractors and trucks and lights. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then I saw my first one, and it's magical.
It is. So. It is magical. That's cool. Well, that's all I have for you, sir. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? I think that's a good question. I would say it's rooted in some similar things that you were talking about. You know, you want to be progressing the world versus bringing it backwards. And what I found is that my whole goal when I was younger was to get good at something that I really enjoyed doing, and I was able to figure this out in high school that I wanted to kind of go down this route. And then once I got good at it, okay, what was the next level to it? And then was how do I make people's lives better? And one of the things I was thinking about was there's a lot of my clients, I'll speak on that, they're in situations that the people they might have relationships with, I'm in essence their cheerleader. They might have a relationship with a good friend, but they have things where, you know, they have to do certain things for them, or they have to, you know, there's some pros and cons, and I just want to try to be as much of a pro as I can for them, because I think mentally there's a lot of entities, internet, you know, people in your face, letters, pressure that is on clients' shoulders, and I'm lucky that a lot of my clients are in leadership positions, and I feel that my contribution outside of my direct business and the people that I lead through Calistoga Fit and DWS is that the people they lead, if they walk in with a high energy or walk in with a positive energy and they get that, they're going to pass that down. And I felt that was my way to be able to really affect the world, is be that person for people where they can count on me. And so that's kind of what makes me do what I do.
Very good. I have 2 quotes.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Okay.
From Mom, both of them.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story. Get to know it.
Yeah.
And be kind to others, because you never know when they come back around.
I totally agree with that one.
I have to say, one of the reasons, so when I was deciding whether or not I was going to take the transfer or not to go to the East Coast with Nestle before I decided, part of my lifestyle and choosing to stay was involved in that was the lifestyle that you've helped me create from a physical fitness standpoint, an attitude standpoint, and just having, I don't think there's another Donavan on the East Coast, so what would I do?
Yeah.
But from a personal standpoint, thank you for the friendship and for what you've done for me, but as the mayor, from a community standpoint, what you and Jackie and your team have done for our community has absolutely made Calistoga a better place, and I appreciate that very much so.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And our friendship is going to continue to grow, and I'm excited for.
And you're still going to make me lift heavy things and put them back where I found them?
I am. and I think, you know, what's interesting, I think we're both up for the challenge of what the next, you know, year or two will be in trying to rebuild mental health and physical health with the, you know, the separation that we've had as a community. So because of what you said, your favorite local event, I will join you on that first one.
All right.
The first one that they have back in the park. I'll definitely be there because I haven't been to one. And some of it is, this is the fatherhood part of it. That's when my daughter normally has soccer practice.
All right, we'll give you that.
And, you know.
But you're off the hook because you've done harvest tables before.
Yeah,
you've done tractor parades. You have a floating tractor parade.
I have the
By the way, you've done 2 so far?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What you guys put into it. It's clear. It's a demonstration of the effort and energy you put into the work you do with your clients.
Yeah,
they were both very impressive.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun, and you know, if we have the opportunity this year, we'll look forward to kind of hopefully lifting some spirits and having some fun.
If this is all still going on by the time Tractor Parade comes around,
Exactly.
I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll take all that back. We might have to throw in the towel, but I think the beauty of the community will keep us going. I want to thank you for joining me on Trainers Talks.
Thank you. I'd shake your hand, but we're not supposed to.
I know.
COVID-19, be done.
Please tap out. Please tap out. We're strong, but we work out for this, but not for this.
Take a break. Give us a rest.
Awesome.
Awesome.